Welcome to the Hobby Hangout with Azu and Dave.
So, in one of our previous episodes about Daggerheart, it was about session 0, creating our characters, and we only got to about half of it. And I remember saying, you know what, I'm actually dreading the second part, which is building your story and all of that. But let's talk more about that. And, I actually had fun doing that.
Yeah.
So, why don't we go through that?
Well, I found the character creation pretty cool, and the reference sheets, I guess, or the quick reference sheets. So they break the character creation into 9 steps. So we purposely made it to step 5, leaving steps 6 to 9, which is the background, your experiences.
Well, why don't you read out what each of them are?
Sure, yeah. So first you choose your class and your subclass. Then second step was choosing your heritage, which is a combination of your ancestry and your community. Followed by assigning your character traits. So you have the +1, +2, the 0, and the -1.
And on this one, actually, so you assign those stats, if you want to call them. But I think that for each of the different classes, you have like the recommended
Yeah, they give you a suggestion.
allocation, right? So that was very helpful, especially because later on, when you start choosing armor and stuff like that, you can see it how it ties back to how you allocated those points. So just having those suggestions for the first time that you played, I think that I didn't end up using it, but I think that it was really helpful to have. So continue with what was step 4 now?
Step 4 was your character information. So just your starting evasion, your 2 hopes. And then we went into starting equipment. So picking your primary and your secondary weapon. Did you find that more straightforward compared to D&D when we're selecting weapons?
So I can't remember much about it, but I will say just focusing on Daggerheart this time, actually. It was very helpful to see how each of the different weapons has like a particular skill base that you can see it tying back to how you allocated those skills, right? Like the 0, -1, +1.
Traits, yeah.
+2. Yeah, traits. And so there's also, as part of your, I guess, like, I don't know what it's called, like the second page or the last page of your class, where it also recommends what your primary and secondary weapons should be. And it's just very easy to see how that recommendation ties to the recommendation of the traits allocation. And so if you decided to choose different traits, which I did, it was very easy for me to understand, oh, you know what, like I want a weapon, or like it was going to be beneficial if I choose a weapon where I allocated my +2 to my trait. Or knowing, if I don't pick that one because another one sounds cooler than the one that I should be picking, then I understand that there's going to be a disadvantage but I think that just like that line of thought, it was very clearly seen. So I did find it very helpful. And I don't remember having too many options. Like, I don't know if we had, I don't know, like it seemed like very digestible, I guess. And the way that they broke it up was your primary weapon could be a magical attack or a physical attack. So right off the start, based on anything else that you have chosen about your character, then you could see, oh, you know what, a magical attack will be better for me, or a physical attack. And then from there, it narrows down to the options that are best suited for your character, and so it was easier to pick. They say like you want to have options, but you have too many options, and then you start getting lost, right?
Yeah.
So I think that it was the right balance of number of options. And then having the notes of if there's anything else that weapon does, just having it right there, like, everything in one sheet was very easy to see, very visible, and that's what I found very easy.
Okay. Yeah, so we got to there in the first session, and then the second session was where we went into the background.
Which is step 6, right?
Step 6, yeah. So we created our backgrounds. Now each character sheet comes with sort of the recommended 3 background questions. And I think we stuck with the background questions. I don't think we introduced new questions on the background.
We changed a little bit because
on the backgrounds? I think it was on the connections. The connections we changed, but on the background questions, I think we kept them fairly similar.
Oh yeah, you know what? Yeah, I think we did.
Yeah.
So the background questions, is it different for each class or?
Each class has different background questions. Now our druids had similar, obviously the same background questions,
Because
but
there were 3 druids.
yeah, but they all came from different communities, had different ancestries. So even though they had the same questions, their answers were very different,
Yeah.
which was good to see. Yeah, and sort of lends to the user experience, I guess, of those questions. Right, they're open enough. They're specific to the class, but they're open enough that you're going to get different responses based off of the character that you're building, which was good. Then we got the create your experiences. So we had a little bit of trying to break the game there from you guys. I had
What? What
to
do you
redirect you guys because initially you guys were describing your user experiences almost as like an additional power that you wanted your person to have in the game, and then I had to kind of explain it that no, it's an experience that's somewhat generic. Well, not generic, but it's specific to you, but it can't be like a specific action that you're taking. It's something that you can leverage when you're taking another action.
Can't remember. Where did we write that?
Here, yeah.
Oh yeah. I don't think mine was trying to break the game. Come on. So okay, so.
Well, this was my direction that I said, okay, you when you're in the forest, your magic is stronger.
Okay, but hold on here. Like I've told you many times before, it's not the user doing something wrong. I think that it was either explained not very clearly. Like there is miscommunication, whatever. So what we were doing, I think that for me in particular, knowing that you get a +2, like whatever that means, I don't even know where that gets added, but I know that it's a +2. I know that it's gonna be something good. So I want to, like, I get excited about it, right? Like I want to make sure that I get to use it. And so I think that the motivation is like, ooh, +2. It's not so much about focusing on the storytelling anymore. It's about where else are you gonna make sure that you get that +2. My opinion.
Yeah, and then from there we went on to the domain cards. So I think that was, it felt enjoyable, I guess. Like everybody's seeing
the main cards. I can't remember now.
what skills and spells they have access to based off of their class. So that's where you got to look at the Arcana and Midnight.
All right, for the sorcerer. Yeah.
And then all the druids got to look at Sage and Arcana. And then our one Seraph got to look at the, I think, Bone and Valor. And then we got into the connections. That's where we started to introduce more questions, right? We were like, oh, let's look at the other character sheets and pull some questions from the other character sheets.
Yeah, because having 3 druids, and especially if you're asking these questions to the other players, then it will get too repetitive, right? And so what we ended up doing was I think maybe someone did come up with their own questions, but for the most part, we were just looking at other classes and see what questions they had and just picking from there.
Yeah. But it definitely worked very well, and we got some funny questions and essentially the connections were already starting to be built amongst the characters, which I found really entertaining.
Okay, that's actually, that's a good point. That's something that I noticed because when we played D&D the last time, so 3 of us built our characters together, but then the other 3 people, they were, like you were doing sessions with them, right? Which made it more efficient, I guess, for their character. But it kind of, it didn't allow us to have that connection to start building the story while creating our characters. Whereas in this way of all of us creating our characters at the same time, like we were kind of like inspired, right, by what everyone else was saying. And so it was helpful in, like when you were having an idea, you were like, oh yeah, and then I'm connecting it with this other person, right? Like with this other thing that they said. So that was actually fun. And I really like that, like we were asking each person one thing so that we didn't get stuck in just like building the connection with one particular person, but rather like why our whole group came to be together, right?
And then since we picked the campaign structure of Umbra, the last questions was from myself, right? Asking you all sort of how did you get to this community? Were you already there? This is your home, or when you were arriving? the question of what do you see when you look out into the night in the pitch black. So that was fun, getting people's different thoughts and perspectives on their character. Already some story building there by each character.
And we were like really deep into our characters at that point.
Which is good. It was fun. I do feel like that's sort of like the big focus here from Daggerheart. It didn't feel like, obviously there's rules there, but we're definitely leaning more to the narrative and the story and the experience that you're going to build versus, the plus one, the minus ones, and what your equipment are. It's more about that. What is the experience that's going to come out of this with your characters?
Yeah. The other fun thing too was the character description. I found it easy to have the, like, for example, they ask you, right, like choose one or more from each of the lines, and there's like clothes that are, and then they give you different options like always moving, flamboyant, inconspicuous, and others, and then eyes like, and then a bunch of like suggested answers, body that's, and then again a bunch of options, the skin, the color of, and the attitude like. So just giving you those categories and giving you some of the options.
Almost.
Yeah, prompts. Yeah, exactly. So, if you struggle a little bit with coming up with this kind of descriptions, then it's easy to just pick something from there. Or it gives you the ideas of coming up with something in particular, right? And from there, you also started asking some prompting questions that just like made it a little bit more fun, right? Yeah. And one of our, like, the party members are also having fun with their creation, and just like how they start like describing everything, it just like makes it, I guess, easier for us to feel comfortable and start like adding more things to our characters, like creating that safe space of like, I don't know, feeling free to just like joke around, right?
Yeah. And we got to introduce some fun, I guess, competitive narratives and like nicknames and stuff like that. So we'll see if you guys hold to it and use it. But either way, I think it was fun to mention that. And how you, like the lie that you told to the one character that they firmly believe.
But they're scared of me now.
Yeah.
Now, funny thing is that, you were saying before, right? Like, you want us to create attachment to our character. And I think that at this point, I'm like really into my character now. But then we're looking at, there's like play testing for new classes. And I'm like, oh no, I want my character to die now so that I can test the other ones. Because they look pretty cool.
Yeah, I was reading through them with our daughter. They're pretty cool.
Yeah.
The witch actually introduces a brand new domain that doesn't exist. So it's a brand new domain. And I think she gets bonuses if she rolls with fear. So that's pretty cool. And she can increase her magic if you're casting magic at night versus day. So yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, it seemed like a pretty good character.
Yeah, I'm wondering if all of the druids are gonna try to
kill themselves.
To get a new. And now you're gonna have 3 witches.
Yeah, it was good.
So that was it for our character creation.
We have our first session scheduled next week.
Well, yeah, but then we still have to finalize our names and story, right?
I think everyone's finalized their names except one party member, my brother.
I mean, you didn't have to call him out, but okay, publicly.
Although he said that he may just use his own name, I think he said, right? By mistake.
Oh, right. Yeah, right, because he was saying,
But he hasn't actually sent me his character sheet, his finalized character sheet, so...
Yeah, something about the PDF gone wrong. He's also got a baby, so...
Did you finalize your backstory? I know you iterated it on a couple of times, but...
I didn't iterate, no. So you created...
I created one.
You created one story using... What was it, ChatGPT or a different AI?
ChatGPT, yeah.
Okay, so then it was good. There were a few things that I was like, I don't like this. Like, it doesn't sound very good. So then I wanted to give it more of a gothic kind of vibe, yes. So then I gave your description to ChatGPT to like change it a little bit. Like I expected it to change it a little bit, and it was a little bit like the wording was like a, like the kind of words that you only use in poems. Descriptions that are just like, it was way too over the top, so I don't like it. But so what I'm thinking is that the little pieces that I didn't like from yours, I'm gonna change with kind of like the new words that I kind of got from my second version that I liked. So it shouldn't take that long. It's just I haven't made the time for it, but I have a name.
Haven't made time for it. Sounds familiar. As an update on Warcry, she also hasn't revisited her list to adjust it or looked at the models we have.
I'm not gonna adjust it. I'm just gonna look at the models and figure it out from there.
All right. So what's next on Daggerheart? We have our upcoming session.
Well, so yes, we have our upcoming session, and so you were working on it today for a couple of hours, right? Trying to put together the story.
Well,
it was a
while
whole
you
movie.
watched the movie. While you watched the movie, the movie wasn't that long.
We were having technical problems with the movie. It was like at least 10 minutes, and you had already started.
But yes, yeah. So Daggerheart, I really like the rulebook. I was digging more into it. I know last time we only showed just like the box that it came in, but there is a lot of really nice art in here and a lot of good content, especially around being a GM and creating your story and planning a story arc and giving you examples on, how you want to structure it and plan it out. So I was reading through this, and it's a lot of good information. It doesn't give you like what some people might prefer, which is like sort of a scripted story where you can still deviate from it, but it's going to give you the structure. So it doesn't give you that. It really just gives you the backbone to create your own story. But it does it really well. And for me, where I like to create stories, I really enjoyed drafting up what I'm hoping is going to be a fun campaign. So just looking at how we could have sort of 3 arcs to it. I'm following the structure that Dave suggested, right? So 3 arcs and a certain number of scenarios within each arc, and then defining different plots and having the different plots interweave and appear throughout the different arcs. I don't want to get too specific, just so that I don't give anything away to you.
Yeah.
And trying to have sort of subplots with certain hints and here and there, see whether you guys pick up on them at all and whether or not they come into play later on in the game. So it should be fun. And taking into account, the world that we've picked. So one thing I will mention is it's not going to be, I've landed more towards, like if it was a video game, it's almost like a boss battler where your encounters are going to be hard fights and they're going to be big fights versus encountering like a group of orcs and having those smaller interactions. So the game is going to be more of like that boss battler fights.
Okay, so one thing that came to mind is when we played D&D the last time, remember how we were like, kill everyone that we encountered, right? And I think that it was just like maybe once or twice that we did something different. So has that influenced the way that you're planning this scenario, knowing that we're like very much eager to fight?
No, that didn't really influence it. It really was more around like the world that you guys picked that you wanted this campaign to take place in. It's supposed to be deadly, right? It's supposed to be corruption and everything's dying and the gods have abandoned it. So it's supposed to be a very dangerous world when you leave your communities. So I wanted to feel that way.
Okay.
Now that doesn't mean you have to tackle everything with a sword. I may be providing options here and there, but
we didn't even build characters that can actually fight.
That's true, yeah. We'll see how the druids fare with turning into mice and things like that. But no, yeah, I think I had a lot of fun. And it was a lot of that iterating and describing how I wanted it, right? Like what characters I wanted to be apparent. So I built the overall structure for the whole thing and then just focused on getting into the details for the beginning for our first session.
Did you have to read the whole core rulebook to be able to build this?
No, I skimmed through here and there.
Okay.
Yeah. I do need to do a little bit more reading just to make sure we're ready for session 1. But I've got the gist of it that I think I can wing most of it.
So that's what always happens with him. He's the one that reads all the rules. And so as we're playing, then he's suddenly like, oh, you know what? And then he goes and checks and he's like, oh yeah, we've been doing this wrong. And so
There's not doing things wrong
it usually
here.
comes in a very timely manner to give you an advantage. I'm just saying that.
That's the good thing of it. This really leans into the narrative. Like that's the focus of it. So it's not the rule side, it's the story side. So
you're confident.
Yeah. It lends well to my style.
I think that's why you like to be the what do they call it? DM or GM or
The GM?
Yeah, what does the GM stand for? General manager?
Game master.
A game. Okay.
And I'm looking forward to the whole fear dynamics. That's one thing I need to figure out is how I'm going to show the fear counter tokens as the game master. I was going to say general manager.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah.
Could have been General Motors.
But yeah, just trying to figure out how I want to show the fear counters that I'm collecting as you guys roll and things like that.
Mm-hmm. One of the things actually so we created with AI our characters, right? At least our daughter and me.
Oh, you mean like a drawing?
Yeah.
Generated a drawing of it?
Yeah.
But I mean, we were prompting it. Like we were defining the prompts and refining the prompts and specific on what we wanted to see. But yeah.
But I think, so like, because I could see everything that I chose for my character in a visual way, I'm like, I wish that I actually had a miniature that I could like move around and things like that, right? That was pretty cool. Like it enhanced the experience for me.
Yeah. And then we did go to Hero Forge and then design your character there as best as you could to match your vision, right?
Yeah. I think I spent like 2 hours.
You spent a lot of time.
I don't know if I spent more hours building my character in Hero Forge than building my character for like the actual game.
Yeah.
But see, I got into it, right?
Yes, you did. So we have the digital versions from Hero Forge as well for your character.
Yeah.
Now that I have the other 2 characters, I can look at creating more of a backstory for them as well. And yeah, getting ready for that first session.
Mm-hmm. I'm excited for it. Actually, I'm excited for it.
Any thoughts on how I should show the fear counters?
I mean, we're playing online, right?
Yeah.
So, and then you were designing a map to show the locations.
Are
you still doing that? Or?
If I have time.
Okay.
I figured the story is more important than the maps, so I focused on the story.
Yeah, I guess so.
But the maps should be fairly easy now that I have the story. Mm-hmm. You got a plan, see?
Well, can you add token? What tool are you using for the maps?
Owlbear Rodeo, it's called. So I think, good point. Yeah, I think I was watching there. The thing is, though, I'll have to dig more into it because I was going to use Owlbear Rodeo just for the battles. Mm-hmm. But if we want to have something in between the battles, then I got to figure out how I just create a scene, like just an ongoing scene that I can show. Mm-hmm. But yeah, overall.
I mean, that's a good question to ask, right? If anyone has experience with online RPG.
Yeah, I've looked at a few. So there are a few. Owlbear Rodeo is a free one. So that's the one I've been playing around with. There's, I think, 3 that are paid versions that have direct support from Daggerheart. So you can run Daggerheart on them. But I don't know how much is configurable there. But
well, I don't want to pay for it.
No,
right now.
yeah.
It's not in our budget.
I was looking at Owlbear Rodeo anyways, like on YouTube, and they did show how to create a fear counter on there. Mm-hmm. I just didn't have time to dive into it, so I was like, I'll just make the maps, and we'll start with that. But
yeah, but I mean,
maybe
still,
I'll
right?
have to learn. Maybe I'll spend some time. It's a long weekend, so maybe I'll find some time and just figure it out.
But maybe someone has already, tried it out, and maybe there's some wisdom to share with us.
But no, yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. All right. Well, we will keep you posted. We will be recording the audio of our
Yeah, we're gonna have to figure out how we can share it, right?
Yeah, we still haven't figured that out. Because I mean, yeah, like.
Yeah, we have the audio. We just need to figure out what kind of visual we want to create to be able to share our sessions.
Yeah. So if you have any recommendations, also let us know.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
That's it for tonight.
Yep. Looking forward to it. We'll keep you posted.
All right.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.